Hello, and welcome to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I'm your host, Easton Johnson. Today's guest is Nickie Davis, a certified personal trainer, nutritional coach, and Boeing professional. Nickie is the owner of Rising Phoenix Fit, where she's passionate about helping others transform their lives through fitness. She has overcome significant personal struggles with weight, binge eating, and alcoholism, and her fitness journey has inspired her to start her own business and help others achieve their goals. Thank you, Nickie, for joining us and sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Easton, for having me. This is truly an honor. Thanks.
Yeah, most definitely. So can you share a little bit about your background and what led you to become a personal trainer and a nutritional coach?
Sure. As you know, I've struggled a little bit with my own weight issues throughout my whole life. Actually, I've been overweight, and then as I got older, my weight just continued to pile on. And I also suffered from binge eating, and I also really enjoyed binge drinking. I shouldn't say I enjoyed it. That's just kind of what I ended up doing to um, relieve some of the pain I was feeling from just, everyday life. But when I went through my transformation, I realized that there were so many moms like myself and women, professional women and busy women who kind of lost sight of where they thought they were supposed to be. That's kind of where I was. I felt really stuck. So I thought it would be really great to help people. I feel like we need a village, we need a community when we tackle such an incredibly difficult thing like weight loss or like a physique change or any kind of well-being change, because it's not just the physical part. It's primarily, the mental part, the mindset part. So I really wanted to be a community for some other women. I want to be their biggest cheerleader. I want to help them start to value and love themselves so that they know that they're worthy of this type of change and that they can absolutely achieve it with the help of their friends and family and a community. And so I just wanted to kind of give back in that way. I felt like through my transformation, I had a little bit of a village and I had close friends and family that I leaned on. And I just wanted to be that for someone else too, to help someone really understand that they're so worthy and valuable enough to achieve anything that they can set their mind to.
That's awesome. So is that kind of your motivation to start your business, Rising Phoenix Fit?
Yeah, that was absolutely my motivation. It's really funny because I really started the business to help one person, one single person. Like that was my prayer was like, I just want one client. I just want one single
Yeah.
client. And while I'm not an extraordinary success at the moment, I have 6 clients and that's exciting. And it's just something I feel like I encourage them, but really they also truly, truly fill my cup, like helping them out and having conversations and connecting with them. And while most of my clients are online, we pretty regularly, we connect. I send messages to them. I send videos to them. And because to me, part of it is the connection, through my journey, it really isolated myself a lot. And now I needed to do that because I was going through some healing. I did have a couple of close friends that I leaned on, but I really kind of isolated myself. And what I've learned this year in particular is that connection is key, man. Connection to others, intentionally connecting with people is what is going to get us all through this life of ours. So that's really why I started. I just wanted to connect with other women and make sure that they know that they can do this. They can overcome hard things.
Most definitely. And I think that's amazing that you brought that up. And, everybody has a personal journey, but in that personal journey, they also need some assistance. And I think one of the hardest things is asking for help.
Yeah.
But you starting that and having that in your business already to just give them the confidence and support that they need just to even start and feel like they are in a community. So I think that's really awesome.
It's funny because even one client in particular, she doesn't reach out to me very often. And in our one-on-one conversations I've had with her, I'm like, please feel free, contact me, ask me questions. But she, even though she's like hired me, she feels sometimes like she's bugging me. And
Mm.
I'm like, no, that the whole point of this is for you and I to connect, girl. Like the more we connect, the
Yeah.
more that we interact, the more I'm going to know your goals and understand where you're coming from and understand the pain that you're going through or the challenges that you're going through. And
Mhm.
the better I can offer my coaching, the better I can strategize to help her. So, yeah, so many people just are really hesitant to reach out to say that they need help, or they maybe are scared to say that, I have this problem and I need help solving it, or whatever, the issue is.
So you brought up overcoming personal struggles. Can you share a little bit more about your journey and how it's played a role in fitness?
Yeah, gosh, I think so. About 3 years ago, I've kind of always been in and out of the gym. My mother, God love you, Mom. I know you'll probably watch this. She planted the fitness seed in me years ago and helped me nurture it years ago. At the age of 14, she got me in the gym. And she, to this day, she's 64 and she's still going to the gym. She's still got guns, so gotta love her. Very
That's
strong,
awesome.
strong woman. But while I was in the gym a lot throughout life, as I got older and as, family responsibilities took hold, and as jobs and, just pressures of life, I leaned more heavily on alcohol and really couldn't think of a day where alcohol wouldn't be in part of my life. Like Mother's Day was a reason to drink, mimosas all day. Thursday was a reason to get crappy drunk. Every day was just a day to drink, and I was the kind of person who I really didn't like myself. So I drank to pass out. Like that was my thing. Like I would drink to basically just numb everything. About 3 years ago, I went through a pretty traumatic event and I metaphorically hit rock bottom and busted all my teeth out. And I remember being like literally on the floor in the bathroom, just sobbing and realizing like I had two choices. Like I could pick myself up from this traumatizing event and really make some changes, or I could just get through the trauma by drinking more and then just continue down that trajectory. I made the decision to quit drinking, and that was almost 3 years ago. That was May 31st of 2021.
Well,
Thank you. And I quit drinking entirely and started just really focusing on my health and focusing on um, my relationship with myself. What I've learned is uh, the relationship we have with ourselves is the most important relationship we're going to have with anyone on this earth ever. Like, right?
okay,
Because
yeah.
all of our critique, all of the can I cuss? All of the shit we hear from people, all of the critiques we hear, all of the negativity, we internalize it and then tell it to ourselves over and over and over and over again. If that continues, if we don't put an end to that and we just continue to berate ourselves, we're going to be stuck. We're never going to move forward. And so part of my healing was to quit drinking, obviously, but to really focus on my relationship with myself. And I needed to learn how to love myself. So I rekindled my relationship with God as well and worked really hard at and still to this day, like I'm a vigilant watchdog about the negative voices in my head. I usually only listen to music like when I'm training or when I'm doing cardio. The rest of the time, I am listening to podcasts, I'm listening to sermons, I'm listening to positive information, because with music your mind can wander, right? And you can think about like the mistakes that you've made in the past, or as silly as, like how you like vacuumed. Like I always mess up. You just pick all apart everything that you do sometimes, and you can get really down on yourself. At least I can.
Hmm.
So part of my transition and transformation, excuse me, was rekindling my relationship with God, but really focusing on that relationship with myself and being, like I said, a vigilante in a sense when it comes to stopping that negative speak. as soon as I hear it, and I'm on it all the time. Like the moment I start saying anything that's slightly negative, I usually can put a stop to it. And I do so by listening to podcasts or sermons. I really love a couple of sermons in particular. So I'll listen to that and just really reframe that voice that's in my head to remind myself how strong I am and what I have overcome and what I can do and how much further I can go and how much I can help others by helping them reframe that voice in their heads too. Because I know we all suffer from it. Some of us more than
I think
others,
that's
but
amazing. Yeah, definitely. And like you said, I think it's amazing because I think people, when they see somebody succeed in their field, no matter what it is, they think, wow, they're there, they got it, they're set, nothing else from there. Not understanding that they have to reaffirm themselves because, like anybody else, they tend to still have self-doubt. So to be able to have something there in place to reaffirm yourself, all the work that you have done, and know about your self-worth. So I think that's tremendous in your part.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Let's transition over to like your daily routine. So what does a normal day look like to you?
Uh, Psychopathic.
Normal day.
So, yeah, my normal day is up at 4 a.m. and usually I'm journaling or meditating or watching sermons like immediately. Like a lot of people, and I don't do this, I refuse to hop on Instagram immediately and like scroll or any kind of social medias. I can't get on that first thing in the morning because that immediately, unbeknownst or I'm not even trying to, but I might instantly start like absorbing, I don't know, just some negative vibes from it. I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't really
it's almost
describe it.
feels like you're constantly comparing with,
Yeah, constantly.
maybe not, but me personally, it's just fitness and it's like, where am I at? And
Yeah, yeah. And I guess a great way to put it is just noise. It's just noise. It's
Mhm,
just like
mhm,
crappy noise. So
mhm.
now, not all of it. And I'm on Instagram, and so are you. So, there is obviously some benefits to it, but I avoid it first thing in the morning. And instead I start journaling. I love Stephen from Elevation Church. I watch his sermons all the time, nonstop throughout. I mean, I listen to them or watch them on YouTube. And so that's usually what I do first thing in the morning at 4. By 5 o'clock, by 5 o'clock, I'm at the gym doing cardio. And then I immediately do posing after that. And then I'm online for work around 6:30 or 7. Then I got to go get my kiddo from school. He's going to be 16 next month. And get him from school around 3. And then after that, I go to the gym and I train. And then after training, I come home and make dinner, help with homework. And then throughout the day, I'm talking to clients, responding to their messages, also while working my full-time job at Boeing. So usually my days are pretty busy, but that helps because I don't sit still well. I this past Sunday my son was here and with his girlfriend and I couldn't leave, right? So I was dying. I'm like, we got to get out of the house. Let's go to the park or something. Yeah. So that's
Definitely.
a typical day. And the weekends are pretty much the same. Lately I've been really trying to connect women with other women. So I'll do like group workouts with women at different gyms around the Seattle area. So that's been a lot of fun connecting with all sorts of women at different fitness levels. Some of them are, really green and don't know what a leg extension machine is. And then there's others that are similar to myself that compete and are pretty familiar with the gym and training. Yeah, that's a typical crazy day.
So I heard you bring up journaling. How does that play a part in your everyday routine? How can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. So my journaling is all over the board. I write down a lot of affirmations in my journal. Pray sometimes in my journal instead of like dear diary. I will say like, dear God, and I'll write out my entire prayer. Part of my journal is dedicated to sheets and sheets and sheets of the words, I will not binge today. I will not binge today. I will not binge today. Like 100, 200, 300 times. Like I'm in kindergarten and made a mistake and the teacher's making me write a sentence over and over again. A lot of times, like I said, it's just different affirmations or like what I'm grateful for. And I will spend one of my standards for myself, if you will, is to write out 8 new things that I'm grateful for each day. And so for a month, I'll do that without repeating them. And I chose 8 because of the word grateful, great, like 8, right?
I like.
And so when I do that and I make a rule, if you will, or a standard of 8 things each day that's not repetitive, right? So I can't say I'm thankful for my son the next, one day, then the next day, the next. It really makes you like think about what it is that you're grateful for. And so then you get down to things like um I'm really grateful for the pan I used today when I was cooking my meal prepping. I really am
Mhm.
grateful that the meat didn't stick in the pan. So you just, like, it's stupid. I know it sounds really silly, but it makes you really think about like how good we have it, like I woke
Yeah.
up today. I slept last
Mhm.
night in a comfortable bed with a blanket. I woke up and was able to go make my oatmeal or my yogurt, like those are amazing things that I should not be taking for granted. And so having that type of a ritual or a standard for my journaling really makes me think about all of the little things that, you know, I really love my bathroom rugs. They're soft on my feet and they're adorable as well. So it just
Yeah.
makes you really dig deep to find the things that you're grateful for, because if you just say the same thing over and over again, then you're not really thinking about how good you have it.
Mhm.
And that, thinking
Definitely.
about how good you have it, of course, just again helps you continue to look through the lens of love and see things from an entirely different perspective. At least it helps me. Otherwise, I could get this weather here is pretty crummy, and
Yeah.
we could start picking apart all sorts of things. The gratitude portion of my journal helps me see things from the lens of love.
What has been the biggest challenges you faced transforming your relationship with yourself and learning self-love?
Gosh, I think the biggest challenge is really dedicating the time to it. You know, you think like, okay, she just has these affirmations and she just, tells herself she loves herself. But it's more than that, because you spend a lot of time doing it.
Mm.
Because it's so easy for you, like I mentioned a moment ago, it's so easy for us to criticize ourselves or to compare ourselves to others. And pretty quick, if you're not intentional about it, if you're not really intentional about changing your relationship with yourself and really intentional about stopping that negative thought, you'll really quite easily just ease back into those old patterns of like being negative or harsh on yourself. And the moment you start doing that, then you start looking again like at things through the lens of fear. And then
Mm.
you start saying to yourself, you can't do that. You never could lose weight before. You could never compete on stage. You could never, you're 45. How in the world do you think, you know what I'm saying? Those are
Mhm.
all things
Mhm.
that I would say to myself. And so I think the hardest part is just doing it no matter what, like
Mm.
just being vigilant, I keep using that word, I know, but being like such a watchdog, such a guard dog of your thoughts. And so sometimes that means ending some relationships, right? And you don't need to be rude about it. And you don't even need to tell them, like, hey, it's you, but just
Mm.
you have to separate yourself from some people or from some TV shows, as silly as it sounds. Like, I was watching a show the other day, and the first episode just was kind of had like a negative vibe going on. And for that particular day, like today, I'm in a little bit better headspace. But
Mm.
just being self-aware and recognizing those days that it's going to be a little bit harder for you to love yourself, and being aware of that, so that when you start to find something that's not vibing with you, then you stop it, right? So that TV show, for example, I turned it off. Like, I was like, I can't be watching this right now. Whereas normally, like, I'm into those sci-fi thrillers or whatever, but at that particular day, I'm just really aware, and I stop those sorts of things. I get that negative vibe out, put on a podcast.
Mm.
So I think that's probably been one of the biggest challenges, is I didn't realize that I didn't realize going into this journey where, I started thinking, I'm just going to lose weight. I'm going to lose weight. And if I lose enough weight, because I was 60 pounds heavier 3 years ago. And so I'm 5'10", and then I was wearing like a size 20, and I'm in a size 8 now.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations.
and when I started this journey, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to lose weight and I'll feel so much better. But I didn't realize that as the weight came off, I wasn't feeling better because I wasn't doing anything with my mentals.
Mm.
I wasn't, I wasn't doing the right things with my mentals. I wasn't, you know, focusing on my relationship as much with myself as much as I should.
I kind of want to circle back to the binge eating and the
Yeah.
alcoholism, because I feel like that's, very common for a lot of people out there. And what do you think has been the biggest thing to overcome with the struggles of both of those issues?
Um, I have not overcome them. I don't drink. Thankfully for me, so the drinking piece, I no longer have a desire to drink. And I think primarily that's because my son, I was not a mean drunk. I was an absent mom. And he and I have talked, and he's almost 16. He'll be 16 next month. And he and I have talked extensively about when I drank. And he is very proud of me and very happy that I no longer drink. And so I can't imagine drinking ever again, because I don't want to disappoint him, first of all. And second of all, with the drinking alcohol, abusing alcohol runs deep in my family. We're talking generations, great,
Okay.
great, great grandparents, right? So the other thing I think about with alcoholism and having stopped drinking is that I really, really could have stopped some generational curses here. Like my
Mm.
son can literally look at me and we have fun together, and he can see that one can actually thrive and have fun and enjoy life and cope without alcohol. I didn't know that was possible. I
Yeah.
didn't
And
know
be
that
the
was
change. Yeah, that's
I
huge.
I didn't know that was even possible.
Mm.
But it is around me all the time, and it's something that I do have to deal with in terms of like hanging out with people and not judging people when they drink. That was an issue early on in my sobriety. Was I would go places and see people drinking, and I would kind of like be judgy about it.
Mm.
And I think primarily that was because I was jealous. Like I was kind
Mm.
of like, well, I wish I could just drink a little, but I can't, right? I just can't.
Mm.
With the binge eating, um, I still struggle with that too, so I don't know that I've overcome that either. It's just I now talk about it. First of all, I talk about it with my friends. I talk about it with strangers. I talk
Mm.
about it so that I'm not ashamed of it. Because if you have shame about something, then it seems so dark and evil, and so getting it out in the open, bringing light to it, makes it less sinister in some ways. But I do deal with binge eating so much so that, and when I say that, I don't mean that I binge every day. I just mean
Mm.
like how I'm coping with, binge eating and how I avoid binge eating. One of the things that I do is I certain foods in the trunk of my car,
Mm.
like the non-perishable stuff, because if it's in the cupboard, it's going to call my name. Like if it's Cocoa Krispies or
Mm.
whatever, right? Like it's going to
Mm.
scream Nikki in the middle of the night. And so I'll keep, or I've given food to my neighbors before. Like I can't
Mm.
have this in the house anymore, or I'm getting ready to compete. And maybe I bought the wrong thing, like the wrong yogurt, let's say, and which happened. And so like I literally gave them the food because it couldn't be here in the house. Otherwise I'd want to eat it, I'm sure. And it's not on my
Mm.
plan. So I still deal with the temptations of food all the time. But I journal about them. Like I said, one night I was desperately fighting the urge to binge, and I wrote over and over and over again, I will not binge tonight. I will not binge tonight. I will not binge tonight. And a lot of times the binging is, I like to think of it, I read a book called Brain Over Binge, and it's helped me a little bit too, because it's taught me that binge eating, similar to my alcoholism, it was just, a way to numb the pain of anxiety, numb the pain of past trauma. Because what binging does for me is, I usually would binge like high carb, sugary foods. And of course, like the sugar like causes that insulin spike, right? And the serotonin levels to increase. And so it makes you happy for a moment, but it also makes you sleepy, right?
Yeah.
And so binging like physically makes me tired, physically numbs me. And so that brain over binge, she talks about how like that's really like our animal brain desperately wanting to fight off something that's like the feeling. It's just wanting to fight off something. It wants homeostasis. It wants to be calm, But if I think about that, like I think about, it's just my animal brain, but my human, my brain, I'm smarter than that. And I don't have to give in to those urges. And so like the writing of the I won't binge, I won't binge, I won't binge today, it helped me get through that few first moments while that my animal brain, I guess, if you will, was like trying to push me to eat. But once I get through like the first few moments of the binge, if I can make it through those moments, then I'm usually good. Like the urge goes away.
So you brought up your son about one of your motivations. Is there anything else that really motivates you to keep going with this fitness and,
Well, definitely with fitness, because I've never felt so powerful. I've never felt so capable. I've never felt so confident in myself ever. I've never ever felt like this in my entire life. I will be 46 next month, and I would have, I can't even begin to tell you, like, if someone had told me that I'd be going to a national stage this year with a coach who's like, yeah, you could totally hit a national stage and you've got really great potential, I never would have believed that in a million years. Are you kidding me? Like, I was a size 20, right? I was drinking myself to sleep at night. So it just blows my own mind. And I just want other people to know that they can do, and then it doesn't even have to be fitness. I just want people to know, or if you have a goal or if you have a dream, I mean, even look at you, like with podcasting, like you might not be, an NBA basketball player, but you can still do so many things now that would either get you closer to that or in that direction, like do the thing that you would do if you were that basketball player, right? That's the kind of, and so for me, fitness makes me feel unstoppable. Fitness makes me feel strong and confident. And I don't see any stop. I don't see that stopping at any point. So now if I were to get injured or, I would probably still do things that would be fitness related. I would definitely continue coaching people because, like I said, I just want other women and men to know that you are so capable, and you are more than just your career. You are more than just dad. You are more, you know what I'm saying? Like you are more than any of the past mistakes that you've made, and you can do so much. You might not be, a LeBron James, but you can still do so many things like he does, right? Like you can still play basketball. You can still, reach for your dreams. And if, I just want people to know that they can do that.
Yeah, I love that. I truly do, because I think so many times people get stuck in that rut or just being like, "Oh, I work, in a school, so that's my profile, that's who I am, that's who I'm always going to be, and that's it." You put yourself in that box, and I think giving yourself that motivation, encourage to be like, I'm going to step outside of that box and do something different. And yeah, it's going to be scary, but I'm going to put myself in a position to be successful for that. So I think that everything you said just hit it on the nail on the head.
I was just gonna say it's like for me in coaching, I just wanted to be a coach. I didn't care, like, and I still don't care. Like, obviously, everybody wants to make a little bit of money, but So what did I do? I got I got certified in personal training. I got certified in nutritional coaching. But then what? Like, okay, my next step was I'm just going to do the thing that I would do if I were a coach. And so that meant for me, that meant I hit up my neighbor and was like, I will do this for free. Right? Let's go. And, same with you, like a podcaster. Maybe you're not exactly where you want to be yet as a podcaster. I don't know. I'm not sure what your
Fresh.
goals and dreams are, but like, you start interviewing people around your dining room table, right? That's what you
Mhm.
do. You do the thing
Mhm.
that you would do if you were an amazing, successful, famous podcaster. You do the little things until you slowly but surely get to that place, right? And you just
Mhm.
chase those little dreams. If you want to be if you want to be a basketball star, well, you play basketball then. Maybe you coach some little kids to play basketball. You just do the thing now that you can do without all the money, without the famous name. Just do now what you can do that you would do then. You know what I'm saying? Does that make some sense? Like,
Yeah, definitely. Just pretty much like engulf yourself, in that atmosphere to kind of
yeah,
just go head in.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely. So you did bring up bodybuilding, and so I'm assuming you're aiming for your pro card in bodybuilding. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, of course, I think all of us that go to a national stage want a pro card, but that is not the end all be all. I did read a post recently that, was really like, gave some perspective to the fact that once you get your pro card, you're kind of on the bottom again, right? Because then you just got to work your way up in the pro ranks. So that's one thing to think about. Like, you might be winning some local shows, but once you get that pro card, like you're at the bottom again, and you got to work your way up the ranks and on the pro stage. Yeah, that would be great. That'd be fun and neat to. I mean, come on, like to go from a 42-year-old, 60-pound overweight woman, alcoholic who woke up every day with freaking hangover, a pro 3 years later, like that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah,
um,
that'd be a heck of a story.
yeah, and that would just be, and you don't get any money for it. Like, I shouldn't say any money, but if you do, like once you win your pro card and like win some or place on stage, you might get a little bit of money, but there's not a whole lot of money in it. So unless you get like crazy sponsors, but for me, it would just be fun and interesting to be like,
Definitely.
say I'm a pro, but it'd be great, like to put on a resume for coaching clients. But that would just be icing on the cake, man. Like, I feel like I've won already, I tell you.
Yeah, and
So,
we're all rooting for you.
oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, Pittsburgh.
So-
I'm gonna do local show first. I'm
Hmm,
doing Washington State Open in 8 weeks in
okay.
Auburn, and then that is 1 week before the Pittsburgh show. So yeah, it'll be kind of
Well, at
crazy.
least it's close together,
Uh-huh.
so it's not like, you know,
Yes.
peak month.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was definitely part of the plan, was to keep the shows together, close together. So
Well, we're wishing you all the luck for that. I want
thank
to
you.
do one thing. I want to take a
Yeah.
step back. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, taking a step back and looking at all of your accomplishments and everything you've been through, advice you can give to keep pursuing something that seems out of reach, but you still push through it, try different ways of doing it, and still maintain success.
Yes. I am so grateful for where I'm at. I tear up thinking about where I'm at and where I was just a few years ago. What's interesting though is that, and I was just talking with a client and a friend about this the other day, what I expected to happen when I transformed my body, what I expected to happen. And I expected, and I'll be really frank here. I've been single for like 3.5 years. And part of that has been intentional, but part of it is just like not finding my person yet. And
Hmm.
I'll tell you, like, I expected when my physique transformed that, like the dates would just be knocking on the door. And that has not happened. And that's okay too, because so what I expected to happen through my transformation is not what happened. And instead, what has happened is I've achieved a more valued outlook of myself. I love myself more. I recognize the amazing things I did do even when I was drinking. Like, I was just using the resources and the tools that I had at the time to get through some of the issues I was dealing with. I would tell other people, though, that it's worth the sacrifice. Sacrificing food in particular, sacrificing food and alcohol in particular is well worth achieving your long-term goal. What can be hard, and what I talk a lot about with my clients and will continue to talk with them about and with other friends, is when people start a transformation or well-being journey, they don't realize some of the hard conversations they're going to have with friends and family, right? Friends and family are not used to you making changes, right? They're used to you a certain way, and when you start making changes, it kind of makes them uncomfortable because that's different. They're not used to that. We all like want familiarity, right? We all tend to go back to old habits based on familiarity and what we are comfortable with. But it's worth it, the friends that really truly love you and support you will watch you transform. And what you don't realize when you're transforming is how much of an inspiration you are probably having or being to your friends and family, right? They see you, bringing your own food or saying no to certain drinks, and at first they might be like, oh, that's just Debbie trying to lose weight again. That's how I used to feel, at least. But in all actuality, the more you do that, then they start saying things like, ooh, Debbie's doing the damn thing, like, let's
Be
and it's
serious.
working, and like, let's find out what Debbie's doing, and let's take an example from Debbie. And so that's the other thing about transforming your well-being or your physique or whatever, is people start to notice. They start to notice, even if it's not a physical change, they start noticing like your mental changes too. If you are really working on, the relationship you have with yourself, wants to have a good relationship with themselves. And so if they see you start being more positive or getting less angry or not snapping as quickly, they're going to want to know what you're doing to help you through those tough moments of the day, where you used to snap. It is hard. You lose relationships sometimes. Feeling confident in your own skin, or getting to a place where you love yourself so damn much that it's okay that you may never meet your soulmate, like, right? Like, that's okay, because I can be my own soulmate. I can be the person that gives me all the love that I need in the event that I don't meet that person. And my transformation has been physical and mental, and it's been worth all of the sacrifice, all of the hard work. And some of it gets easier. Like, it does get easier, like thinking about the saying no to foods. You know, you start saying things to yourself like, I'm just not a girl that eats at McDonald's. I don't eat from McDonald's, right? Like, you start saying those kinds of things. I'm the girl that I drink a gallon of water a day. I'm not the girl that drinks diet soda all the time. Instead, I'm the girl that drinks water, right? You start saying those things, and so those decisions start to become even easier. Same with like the habits. I'm the girl that gets up at 4 a.m. I used to not get up at 4 a.m., but every day I did it, and it's gotten easier and easier. And now, like, I am not as happy as I am if I don't get up at 4. Like, if my alarm doesn't go off or something to that effect, oh my gosh, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I am not the same person as the Nickie that got up at 4 a.m. So it
8
does
is
get
early to most people, so.
right. Totally. But it's worth it. And I just really wish that I could convey that to people, that it's worth it. And it does take time, right? Like, we all want an instant fix, but you have to have faith in the process. You have to have faith in yourself. I hope that you have faith in God, and it just takes time to sometimes just transform your current habits to make them a little bit better. And then, the more you start doing that, you start tweaking some habits. And then the next thing you know, you're the girl that's up at 4 a.m. and journaling and doing the thing.
Definitely. Yeah. And it works for you, So,
Yeah.
I'm not advising everybody to start waking up at 4 a.m.
No.
because,
Right.
I'm not that person, but I mean, it works for you. And I think that's awesome. And I just want to say, like, you have such an amazing personal story. How do you feel like this story has shaped who you are today?
Gosh, I don't know. I just can't imagine being the 42-year-old woman. I look back at her and I'm just so sorry for her. I am more positive. I see people now like I didn't see people before because I could hardly look at myself. I
Mhm.
intentionally try to make connections with people now because I want people to be seen. Like, this world is so loud and it's so vast and it's so
Mhm.
big, but at the same time it's kind of small, right? Like in our own little
Mhm.
communities. And so I wouldn't have been I wouldn't be this woman had I not gone through this transformation. I would still be drunk Nikki who just barely got through the day, who was not present for her own child, who could barely be present for herself, and certainly didn't take the time out of her day to talk with other people, strangers at the grocery store, or at the gym, because I just didn't have the time or the care, honestly, because I didn't care for myself, right? Like, I
Mhm.
didn't have the energy to, but now I'm actually like, I connect with people and I have these amazing conversations with people that probably don't do anything for their life, but they sure made my day. And that's what it's all about is, we all, part of, I think, what we struggle with in this life is because we do feel like this world is so big and we have this social media influencers that are doing all the things. And I think a lot of us feel like, like, what's my purpose? And
Mhm.
we make our purpose so big, like, oh, well, I'm nobody if I'm not the president of the United States, or if I'm not like
Yeah.
saving 18 children a day, or you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And we're putting way too much pressure on ourselves. Like, that is not what our purpose is. Like, my purpose is to just connect with one person a day, to just
Mhm.
say hello and, like, make somebody feel seen just once throughout their whole
Mhm.
day. Because who knows what kind of day they're having. My purpose is to be the best and only mother that Cole will ever have. And to not die but when I trip over my cats in the morning. Like,
Mhm.
that's my purpose. And I just want people to know, like, your purpose doesn't have to be so vast. It doesn't have to be so grand. It really doesn't. It can be our purpose is to just be nice to one another and to make people know like they're not alone.
Mhm. That's so true. That is so true. I love every bit of it. Like, I'm just like basking in all of this. What before we end this, my next question was like any words of wisdom that you would give to anybody. You gave some just now, but is there anything else you would like to add on, or any like podcasts, books, or anything that you felt that has really motivated you or kind of ramped you in getting started, or just reassuring yourself?
Um, I've said it a million times, I know already, but really, the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship. And so really be vigilant about that negative self-talk. And the moment you notice yourself criticizing yourself, like, oh man, I really shouldn't have gotten so angry with my kid today, or, the moment that happens, like, stop in its tracks and then pivot and say, like, okay, well, that's over and done. Tomorrow we'll try to do it, tomorrow's a new day. Um, so really just putting an end to those negative conversations in your head, I think, is super duper helpful for people. Um, books, one of my favorite books was The Four Agreements. That really hit home for me, and it just talks about, being impeccable with your word, doing your best, not taking things personally, because people react to you and say things to you, and they're just saying things based off past beliefs they learned from generations of other hurt people, right? So the book The Four Agreements was great, and I actually I listen to it on Audible quite frequently as well. And of course, I'm going to just give another shout out to Stephen Furtick from Elevation Church and his YouTube sermons. He is amazing. He is a Southern preacher, and he starts to holler sometimes, and he gets loud and he gets rambunctious, but he has a really great way of taking one simple story from the Bible and really relating it to all of the hardships that we deal with today. And I think the reason why I like him is he's just so relatable in that way, and he's really honest about his own insecurities and his own challenges that he faces. We are all humans with problems. And I think the more that we can talk about them and relate to them with one another, brings it again out into the light so no one feels shame about it.
Is there anywhere listeners connect with you online, learning about Rising Phoenix Fit, or any other social media outlets you like to promote?
So they can find me on Instagram, either Nickie_Davis with two S's, or Rising Phoenix Fit. And really, I just want people to feel free to reach out to me to ask questions. Like, while I do have a coaching business, and I certainly welcome coaching inquiries, I also really just welcome interaction and conversation about anything that people might be dealing with, or if they have questions, or they want to know a little bit more about me. I'd love to learn more about them as well. I think, like, the more we share our stories with each person, the more we learn about them, and then the more we can apply what maybe they've done to their own lives, right? So this certainly isn't just me wanting to get clients. Like, I really just want to help someone know that they're valued and loved and worthy of getting closer to their goals.
And that's why I needed you on this podcast, because you are a genuine good person, and I love every bit of it. What you have brought to this podcast has been tremendous. A lot of treasures that hopefully people take advantage of, and able to learn from your story and help them in their own journeys. So thank you again for joining the podcast today.
Thank you, Easton. It was my pleasure, really.
Most definitely. Well, thank you.